For months, my boyfriend would disappear every Thursday. He claimed he was volunteering. I believed him. Until I got a call from his other girlfriend. She said, "He told me you died 2 years ago." I laughed so hard I cried. We planned a dinner together. He walked in, saw both of us, turned white, and said, "You're not supposed to meet." I said, "Neither are you supposed to live two lives." Then we left him there. Alone. So, I, 38 female, had been with Mark, 42 male, for almost 3 years. We lived in Portland, Oregon. Met at the farmer's market, nothing fancy, he sold candles, I was with my niece. He struck up a conversation. He was funny, sweet, kind of awkward in a charming way. I didn't think anything of it at first, but he was persistent, and after a couple weeks, we started seeing each other. He wasn't flashy. Drove a beat-up Subaru, always wore the same green hoodie when we went out. But he was consistent. Texted good morning and good night every day. Helped my mom fix her fence when it blew over in a storm. Made me soup when I got sick. You get it. He was one of those guys you trust because he seems simple, easy to understand, not slick. But there was this one thing. Every Thursday. Mark had this thing on Thursdays. He always said he volunteered at a community center downtown. Helping the homeless. The first few times I asked about it, he gave me this soft smile and said, "It's something I do to stay grounded." Said it wasn't run by a church or an organization. Just a few people who care. I didn't push. He liked to feel like he was doing good. But it was every Thursday. No matter what. If we had plans, he moved them. If I was sick, he'd check in, but still go. He never missed a single Thursday. He'd leave around 5 p.m., come home after midnight. Said they handed out food, sometimes clothes, and did life talks with people on the street. I admired him for it. Genuinely. That kind of commitment is rare. But over time, I started noticing things. He never had photos. Not of the center. Not of the people. I asked once if I could help. He said, "It's a little raw there. Not really a place for outsiders." Fine. Okay. Then, one Thursday, I dropped off food at his place. I had keys. Figured I'd leave it in the fridge. His car was gone. Nothing strange about that. But his gym bag was in the hallway, full of overnight stuff. That struck me as weird. Why would he need all that if he was just doing community work? I brought it up later. He brushed it off. Said he sometimes showered at the center or crashed on the couch if he was too tired to drive back. I believed him. Mostly. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I even Googled the center he claimed to volunteer at. Nothing came up. No website. No social media. I thought maybe it was one of those underground mutual aid things, but even then, there's usually something. Some trace online. But nope. Nothing. I should have pressed harder. But you don't want to be that person. The one who accuses someone for trying to help others. You want to believe the good. And Mark always made me feel like I could. Then came the call. The call that changed everything. It was a Thursday. I was at work, just after lunch, when my phone rang from an unknown number. I usually don't pick up, but something made me answer. "Hi," the woman said. Are you with Mark?" I was immediately on guard. "Who is this?" She hesitated. "My name is Sarah. I don't know how to say this. I think we need to talk. I'm his girlfriend." Or. I thought I was. My stomach dropped. At first, I thought she had the wrong person. I asked, "How long have you two been together?" She said, "1.5 years." He told me his last girlfriend died. In a car accident. 2 years ago. I swear, I laughed out loud. Not because it was funny. Because it was so insane, I didn't know what else to do. I said, that's wild. Because I'm very much alive. And I live with him 3 nights a week. There was a long silence on the phone. She whispered, oh my God. I sat there in my office, just staring at my screen. I felt like I was outside of my body. I couldn't even cry yet. It was like my brain refused to let me feel it all at once. We kept talking. She said every Thursday night was their night. That was their thing. Dinner, wine, Netflix. She lived across town, near Hawthorne, and he'd stay over. We compared calendars. Every Thursday he was volunteering with the homeless, he was actually sleeping in her bed. He told her I died. He told me he was saving the world. We made a plan, Sarah and I decided we needed to see it for ourselves. We wanted to look him in the eye, at the same time, and see what he would do. We picked a restaurant, the Olive Branch, in downtown Portland. Not fancy, but intimate. We made a reservation under a fake name. I texted him from my phone, said I wanted to take him out for dinner as a surprise. I never said where. Just told him to show up at 7 p.m. He agreed. Like it was any other Thursday where he thought he had it all under control. When the day came, I showed up first. Sarah arrived 5 minutes later. We hugged. She was real. She was kind. She looked like she'd been through hell too. We ordered wine. We didn't say much. We didn't need to. 7:05 p.m. He walked in. The second he saw us, his face changed. He froze. Like he'd been hit by a car. I've never seen anyone go so pale so fast. He said, "You're not supposed to meet." That's literally what came out of his mouth. Not "I can explain." Not "I'm sorry." Just, "You're not supposed to meet." And I said, "Neither are you supposed to live 2 lives." He sat down slowly, like he thought maybe he could still talk his way out of it. That's where I'll leave it for now. So, if you read the first part, you know how it went down. Me and Sarah. Same guy. Same lies. Same Thursdays. He walks into the restaurant, sees us sitting there, and literally says, "You're not supposed to meet." Like that was the biggest issue, not the cheating, not the double life, not the whole "your girlfriend isn't dead" lie, just the fact that we weren't supposed to know about each other. The air in the restaurant went still. A server paused mid-step. I could feel Sarah's hand tighten around her wine glass. Mark sat down. Like he still had the right to sit with us. Like this was some misunderstanding that could be cleaned up with a good apology. I let him speak first. He looked at me. "I was gonna tell you." I didn't say a word. Then he turned to Sarah. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. It started out simple. I just needed time." She said, "Time for what? 2 birthdays? 2 Thanksgivings? Who was the real one?" He swallowed hard. "Both of you." That was when Sarah stood up. But I stayed seated. I wanted answers. I was past crying. Past shock. I wanted the truth, raw and ugly. So I asked, "Why Thursdays? Why that day?" He looked me dead in the eye. Because it was the only night I could think clearly. I laughed. I actually laughed. Loud. People turned to look. I didn't care. Then Sarah dropped a bomb. She pulled out her phone. Opened a photo. Slid it across the table toward me. It was Mark. In a hospital waiting room. Sitting next to a woman. Not me. Not Sarah. Someone else entirely. A woman holding a baby. I looked up. "Who's this?" Sarah said, "That's what I found last week. That's from Tuesday. He said he was with his brother." But I went looking. Mark didn't say a word. I looked at him. "Is that your kid?" Silence. Then he said, yes. Sarah stepped back like she'd been slapped. You have a kid? He nodded. She's one. I met her mom before I met Sarah. It was one time. We weren't serious. But after she got pregnant, I tried to do the right thing. I visit them sometimes. Sarah asked, does she know about us? He nodded again. She knows about you too. She knows everything. I swear I stopped breathing for a second. This man was living 3 lives. Not 2. 3. One with me. One with Sarah. And one with this mystery woman and a baby. I said, so you told her the truth? He looked down. I had to, he mumbled. There was a child. That hit harder than I thought it would. He told the truth to one person. The one he couldn't lie to anymore. Because of the baby. Because it was real in a way me and Sarah apparently weren't. We sat there in silence. Then Sarah asked the question that had been burning a hole through all of us, who do you actually love? He didn't answer. He just sat there. Looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. I asked again. If everything exploded tomorrow, who would you run to? Still nothing. So I stood up. And that should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Because 2 days later, the mother of his child, her name is Elena, messaged me on Facebook. She wrote. I know everything now. I had no idea he was still seeing both of you. He told me he ended it months ago. I'm sorry. I just thought you should know, he's missing. That stopped me cold. I called Sarah. She'd gotten the same message. None of us had heard from him since that night. He wasn't at work. His phone was off. No posts. No messages. His car was gone. No one knew where he went. At first, we thought he was hiding out. Embarrassed. Trying to disappear for a bit. But a week passed. Then 2. Elena filed a missing persons report. I didn't know what to feel. Betrayed? Angry? Worried? He was a liar. But he was still someone I knew. For 3 years. He made me laugh. He sat with my mom when she was sick. He talked about wanting to buy land, plant trees, raise chickens. All lies, maybe. But still, part of me was haunted. A month later, we got an update from the police. His car was found parked outside a cabin in the woods outside Bend, Oregon. Empty. Keys inside. A note on the seat. It said, tell them I'm sorry. I couldn't choose. I never learned how. No one has seen him since. No credit cards. No sightings. Nothing. I don't even know what to call this anymore. Not just cheating. Not just betrayal. It turned into something darker. Like he was trying to live 3 different versions of himself. And when the truth came crashing in, he folded. I still don't have the ending. But maybe that's the worst part. It's not over. Because now there's just silence. And that's where we are. So yeah. After that night at the restaurant, after Sarah and I walked out and left Mark sitting there with all his lies in one room, he vanished. Gone. No texts. No calls. No half-assed apologies. Just radio silence. Then the message came from Elena, the mother of his child. He's missing. And it wasn't just avoiding us. I mean missing. Police got involved. His car turned up at a cabin outside Bend, Oregon, with a handwritten note. Something about being sorry and not being able to choose. That was supposed to be his big goodbye, I guess. But here's where it starts getting even weirder. A month after the cabin. Sarah and I stayed in touch. Trauma bonding, I guess. We even met Elena. She was as confused and messed up about the whole thing as we were. All three of us had been fed different versions of Mark. We compared stories, trying to put together who he really was. The timelines overlapped in insane ways. There were days where he'd go from one of our beds to another's. We started joking that we'd need a corkboard and string to track it all like a crime show. And then one day, Sarah got a package. No return address. Just her name, in handwriting we all recognized. It was from Mark. Inside was a USB stick and a photo. The photo showed him in front of a wooden shack somewhere that didn't look like Oregon. Maybe somewhere in the southwest, desert-like background, dry hills. He looked scruffy. A beard. Sunburnt. Like he'd been living off-grid. The USB had one file. A video. We watched it together. He spoke directly to the camera. Looked tired. Older. Eyes sunken. If you're seeing this, I guess I couldn't do what I planned. I thought I could disappear for good. Live quiet. But I miss something. I don't know what. All of you were real to me. I wasn't pretending. I just wasn't whole. There are things you still don't know. Then the video cut. That was it. No coordinates. No date. Nothing more. We were all stunned. We took the video to the police. They couldn't trace anything from it. The package had been mailed from a small town in New Mexico. That's all they got. Then came the next twist. I started getting weird messages. Not from Mark. From someone calling themselves Nate. At first, it was just a text, "You should stop looking." I ignored it. Thought it was spam. But then came more. He was in something deeper than you think. There are people who don't want him found. He tried to walk away from something. Then Sarah got the same messages. Then Elena. We reported it. Cops said it was probably a hoax. But it didn't feel like one. The timing was too perfect. The warnings were too specific. Then one night, I came home, and my door was slightly open. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was broken. But on the kitchen counter was another note. In handwriting I didn't recognize. You don't know the full story. He was hiding more than women. That's when things clicked. Mark wasn't just a cheater. He was running. From something. Maybe from people. Maybe from a past he never talked about. He always said he had no siblings. Elena said he told her he had 2 brothers. I remembered once asking him about old photos, and he said, "They're all gone." House fire. Elena said he claimed he grew up in Arizona. Sarah said he told her Washington State. None of us ever met his parents. He said they'd passed away. But what if they hadn't? What if everything was fake? What if Mark wasn't even his real name? We checked his email accounts. Gone. Socials, all deactivated. Work? Quit the week before he disappeared. Told his boss he was moving out of state. Everything about him had been quietly dismantled, piece by piece. And we didn't even notice. It's like he'd been planning this for a long time. Like he knew the lies would catch up, and he built an escape plan brick by brick. But he slipped. He sent that package. That video. That meant part of him didn't want to vanish completely. We don't know where he is. We don't even know who he really is anymore. But we do know this, whatever we thought was the truth, it was just the surface. There's something buried under it. And we're about to start digging. It all came to a head 6 months after that last message. 6 months of dead ends, unanswered questions, and too many what-ifs. Sarah and I were still in touch. Barely. We didn't talk about Mark much anymore. It had gone from obsession to exhaustion. Elena moved to a new place, tried to keep her daughter's life normal. But every once in a while, she'd call and say, "I dreamt he came back last night." And then, out of nowhere, I saw him. Downtown Portland. 11:32 a.m. Friday. I was walking out of a coffee shop, headphones in, halfway to my car, when I saw a man across the street, tall, hunched a little, wearing a hoodie and jeans, head down. But I knew that walk. I ripped my headphones out and called his name. Mark. He froze. For a second. Then started walking faster. I ran. Dodging people, crossing traffic like a lunatic. I grabbed his shoulder and spun him around. It was him. Beard gone. Thinner. Tired. But him. Mark, I whispered. His face went blank. Then terrified. Then sad. I didn't think you'd recognize me, he said. That was all it took. I broke down. Right there. On the street. I wasn't crying because I missed him. I was crying because the nightmare finally had a face again. I called Sarah. Told her where we were. Told her to get Elena. I wasn't letting him disappear again. He didn't run. He didn't resist. He just stood there. Defeated. The confrontation, all of us in one room. We met at Sarah's apartment later that day. Mark walked in like a man walking into his own funeral. Sarah didn't speak. She just stared. Elena was holding her baby. The little girl squirmed, babbling nonsense, reaching for Mark. He looked at her. And something in him cracked. He got on his knees. I'm sorry, he whispered. I messed everything up. Sarah exploded. Sorry? That's it? You made me think I was your one and only. You told me she was dead, Mark. Dead. He didn't fight it. He didn't yell. He just nodded. Elena spoke next. You told me they were past mistakes. That you chose us. You made me raise this child thinking I was the one you stayed for. Then me, you said you were saving the world every Thursday. But you couldn't even tell the truth for 5 minutes. Mark looked up. And then he said it. The thing that turned the entire room on its head. I wasn't just cheating, he said. I was being watched. We all stopped. What? I asked. He took a deep breath. I lied to survive. You think I planned this? I was recruited when I was 22. They wanted me for low-level surveillance work. Tracking people. I thought I was helping the country. But it got dark. Real dark. I wanted out. I tried. They told me if I vanished, I'd never be safe. Elena laughed. Are you high? This isn't some movie. But he kept going. They let me go, eventually. But under conditions. New identity. Regular check-ins. I was free, technically, but I had to stay low. No big connections. No attachments. So I compartmentalized. I gave each of you part of me, thinking it would keep you all safe. Thinking it would keep me sane. Silence. Then Sarah stood. You're a coward. Whatever this is, truth, fantasy, mental illness, you used us. You stole years from us. Elena put the baby down and left the room. She came back with a folder. Dropped it in his lap. DNA test results. She's yours. Be a father, or leave for good. But don't ever walk into our lives again halfway. Mark opened the folder. His hands were shaking. He nodded. I'll be in her life. But no more lies. Sarah looked at me. I nodded too. We're done here. Mark left Portland 2 days later. This time, we knew where he was going. He gave Elena an address in Nevada. Promised visits. Promised consistency. I didn't want anything from him. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. Sarah blocked him everywhere. moved on faster than I expected. She even started dating again. Elena and I stayed in touch. Sometimes we meet up for coffee. Sometimes we don't talk for weeks. But we check in. Like war buddies. Survivors. I think about him more than I want to admit. Not because I miss him, I don't. But because he was a lesson I didn't see coming. The mask he wore wasn't just to fool us. It was to survive his own shame. And me? I'm still rebuilding. I'm not angry every day anymore. Just disappointed. Wiser. More cautious. I've learned that trust isn't given once. It's earned daily. And love? Love without honesty is just decoration over a broken floorboard. I don't know if I'll ever trust that easily again. But I do know I won't ignore my gut next time. And that, weirdly, feels like hope.